The Z3 dashcam arrives very well presented in this branded retail box, which contains a very useful instruction manual. This has to be the best manual I've seen for a dashcam. It makes sense, it describes what all the functions do, it's written in good English, and it also has a full diagram of all the menus and the options. Definitely the best manual I have ever seen for a dashcam. This would also make it ideal for a first-time user. There's a double adapter, so this fits into the car's 12-volt socket, and there are actually two USBs, so you can run the dashcam and something else at the same time. There's a long USB cable with micro USB to connect to the dashcam. This cable will allow you to run the dashcam either in the front windscreen or the rear, which is particularly good for catching tailgaters. A USB cable to connect to the computer, and most importantly, of course, is the dashcam itself. I've used and reviewed quite a lot of dashcams, but I have to say, looking at this one and the build quality, I think this one is probably the best of the lot so far. I also like the fitting with the suction mount. It has a clip which helps to hold it secure in the vehicle, but also it has a screw fitting here. A lot of them just have a bracket that you slide the camera onto, but with the screw fitting there's absolutely no possibility of it falling off. Because like all dash cams, it has only a limited battery capacity. I'm running it now from a power bank. Well, this gives me the opportunity to just have a look at it and show the menus. The USB cable connects to the top there, and this is the screw fitting for the suction mount. To each side are the control buttons, the top one being the power on off and the bottom one being the menu. And here there are plus and minus buttons, which equates to up and down arrow, and the OK confirm selections. Let's have a look at the menus. It has to be said, this dashcam has the clearest menu screens I have ever seen, and I hope that I can portray this in the video. The screen is very high resolution, and all the menus have a good point size, making it easy to read. To look at the various options, scroll up and down using the plus and minus buttons, and then OK to look at individual functions. The resolution on this dashcam is the highest I've ever seen and ranges from an incredible 2560 times 1080, which is equivalent to 2K, or you can use a lower resolution, but even those are high, or just the lowest resolution, which on this camera is 1280 by 720. I would always suggest using a high resolution, then in the event of an accident or incident you'll always be able to read the registration number plates on recorded footage. So we'll go for the full 2K 2560 times 1080. The image quality can be adjusted, super fine, fine or normal. We'll go for super fine. OK. Video duration. Videos can be set for various lengths, 5 minutes, 1 minute or 3 minutes. It doesn't really matter what you actually set it to, because this is a function where all the recordings are looped so that you never run out of memory space on the card. So once the card is full, it will overwrite earlier files. And remember, with a dashcam, you're not recording files to watch, you're recording files to store just in the event that they are actually needed. So we'll opt for 5 minutes here. Anti-flickering, stamp setting, so you can have the date and time stamped onto recordings, always advisable. This dashcam has a G sensor, so in the event of an impact, then it will sense it, record a file and lock it, so that that file is always stored safe and it won't be overridden. I'll set that to high. There's also motion detection as well, so as soon as motion is detected, the camera will switch on. I've switched it off for recording this video because obviously as I'm moving the camera around, it switches it on and starts to film, which is not what I want for now. The second menu has languages. There's a parking monitor mode. Now this is useful because if you park your car somewhere and somebody knocks into it, nudges and damages it, then the camera will record them. The obvious provisos are the camera has to be at the front of the vehicle to record an impact to the front, or at the rear of the vehicle to record an impact at the rear. But certainly have that switched on. The camera can of course be set to auto record, so as soon as you switch on your ignition and drive away, the camera will start to record. Or the manual record setting is for cars where the 12-volt socket is live when the engine is switched off and the ignition switched off. I don't think that applies to many, but what you don't want is the dash cam to be recording constantly. But for most UK cars, the 12-volt power socket isn't actually live when the ignition is switched off, so I have this set to auto record for my vehicle. And then just the usual settings, setting up the time, format the card, backlight on, off, beep, just the general settings there. So that is very, very easy to set up, but also the user guide as well has copies of all the menu screens, which makes the sequence and the setup very easy to follow, but that is a very good manual anyway. But the most important thing is how well this works in practice, so I'm going to pop it into my car now and go out for a drive.